recording. And it is recording. Don't worry, I'll cut off the first few seconds. It's okay. We can ease into it. It's all right.
Yeah.
You know what? For some reason, once the recording starts, like it's on recording, it's like there's a little bit of pressure then.
Exactly. The nerves kick in then, yeah.
They do. They absolutely do. Okay. So I was lying. There's nothing that's going to be cut out. So this is how the video is going to start now. But yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
Brilliant.
hey guys. So I've got Patrick Ash with me today. First of all, how's it going? I know how's it going, but how's it going, Patrick?
I'm good, Chris. Yeah, I'm really good. I'm excited to be here. It's definitely a big honor for me. So thanks for having me on your channel.
No, so I just want to preface by saying, so when I asked you to join, and you responded almost immediately, like the next day you were like, I'd love to do it, and you said it was an honor, and I think that typifies exactly what I think of you. You're like you're one of the best people I've met in the last few years, and I'm not saying that just to be kind or anything. The honor is definitely mine, Patrick, and as we go through this, people will realize absolutely why the honor is mine for having you on here. So I'm glad it's going well. On your Instagram the other day, I saw that you managed to grab a beer because the pubs the outdoor pubs are open now.
Absolutely. Finally, it seems like we're very slowly going back to normal, which is nice. It's been such a long time.
Yeah. Okay. And how was that beer? I'm just curious.
I've got to say, Chris, it was lovely. It was nice to have a freshly pulled pint, not just one from the fridge. Fresh pint. It was bliss. Really loved it. Yeah.
Awesome. I am slightly jealous because I've not managed to, like, I was at the library today and I've been working. I think people watching this will know why, because we have exams. But okay, so for people that some of the people that are watching this, a lot of them are going to be medics and stuff. So they won't maybe have not know you yet. They'll know you after this. So can you start by saying a little bit about well, first of all, what have you been doing the last couple of years? And then I'll mention like sort of how we met, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I guess at the moment, Chris, I've been sort of trying to pursue acting, working as an actor, and also as well, I work as a magician as well, and trying to sort of pursue both of those careers. And yeah, I did live in London, and then when coronavirus started, I moved back home to Maidenhead, and yeah, I've been in Maidenhead during lockdown since, which is my hometown. So yes, at the moment, I guess at the sort of stage I am in my career, I'm just sort of trying to get as much experience as I can in sort of the magic world and as an actor as well, auditioning for things, and yeah, really enjoying it so far. Really feeling really lucky to be able to pursue it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. How has COVID? I'm just curious. How has COVID sort of because obviously you're trying to get into stuff. I'm assuming you're doing loads of auditions and stuff, and you're trying to do your magic stuff as well. Obviously, with COVID, it's changed a lot of things for established actors, for established performers. What has it been like for you? Like, how has that been for you in general?
It's definitely been a strange one, Chris, in the sense that it's I would 100% say at first very jolting, because everything went online, and especially with magic is so much about connection, and I suppose with acting as well, a lot of it is about like being connected with people. So I think at first it felt very odd, but I feel like both industries, acting and the magic industry, have adapted on the whole quite well to moving online. So as things went on, and I sort of realized that this was going to be quite a long-term thing, in that sense, it was I sort of felt like I was able to adapt more to it, which was really nice.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I feel like in general, I've noticed that people that are involved in any form of arts, any of the arts industries, because your creativity is so high, you guys have managed to make lockdown kind of fun. I say that because I was watching some of your Instagram videos earlier, throughout the year, basically. I think maybe there were stories as well. There might have been stories where you do magic tricks and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, he's having the time of his life, while everyone else is like, yeah, lockdown.
That is definitely the fun thing about sort of, I guess magic and the creative stuff, as you said, Chris. It is like hopefully people do get enjoyment out of it, and do get, especially at a time like this when so much stuff is stopped. I guess it just shows the power of the internet to connect people. So that's an amazing thing, I'd say.
Sure. Okay. So now I'll just quickly explain for people that don't know. So I met Patrick a couple of years ago, and I met him through the National Youth Theatre, where he was one of the teaching leads for a screen acting masterclass. The National Youth Theatre is for people age. If I get this wrong, you can correct me because you'll know, because you obviously you've done a lot of work with them, so you know. Is it for 15 to 25?
14 to 25, yeah.
25. Okay, yeah. We'll come back to that a little bit later because there's one thing I want to explore with you right now. But that's how I met Patrick. And as I was saying earlier, the honor's mine because he is awesomely talented and surprisingly very, very young for the level of talent that he has. But we'll come back to that. So with the magic, the one thing I noticed when I was watching your Instagram videos and stuff, and I'm going to catch up on a lot of your YouTube videos today, as I was telling you a little bit before, and I'm also going to link in because Patrick done a tribute to his aunt, where I think, did she turn 70 and you done 70 magic tricks on
Absolutely. It was a little bit ambitious, but I tried to do 70 tricks in a video, and really had a lot of fun making that.
Right. So for everyone that has exams, that's going to be a treat. So that will be linked, so we can watch that. So that's going to be great. Okay. So the one thing I noticed about the magic that you do, we'll start with magic because I think everyone loves magic, especially growing up. Like all kids love magic. Magic is everyone loves it. Yeah. I don't think I've met a kid that doesn't love when someone does a magic trick and they're like, how did it? Yeah, it's just awesome. But one thing I really like about the way that you do magic is you make it really, really, really fun. I mean, it's not just the trick. You do the whole thing. It's very entertaining. I don't know if it's just natural charisma, charm, or it's the fact that you love it, which is very evident when you perform. And I think I saw one trick where you were, I think there was like, I don't know what the right word. I think it was like napkin. You were pulling it out, and then you were like, and you were just continuously pulling it out your mouth. I thought it was brilliant, and that typified for me like what I really love about you, and the magic that you do. It's just really, really, really entertaining. So is that something you like? Are you consciously aware of, like, have you chosen that I'm going to make sure that it's not just about the trick, that I'm going to make it all really fun, or is it just it's just who you are?
I think that's a really good point, and like, thanks for saying. But I would definitely say the big thing with that is that I remember once when I was just getting into magic, I went to go and see a talk by this magician who I really admire, and one of the things that he said is that 80% of magic is about the performance, the entertainment of it. You can be really good at the sleight of hand, but if you can't communicate the message or the experience across to someone, then they're probably not going to have the best time. So that's what I try and focus on with the magic. And I'm still very much learning with it, but I try and use the magic as a tool to be an entertainer, as it were, rather than being a magician. So rather than focusing on the trick, trying to focus on the sort of enjoyment of the trick and getting people to have a good time, and using that magic as a vehicle. So I guess that was a really useful thing that I learned. So now I do try not to focus so much on the sleight of hand and more to focus on the sort of like getting people to have a good time and remember that experience.
And I have to say, you're very, very good at it, because I immediately sense that. And obviously, I don't follow like every magician, so I don't know what all the magicians are doing and stuff. But I really love that, and I think it's I don't know if it comes back to it brings back the feeling of old school for me. I don't know why. It's just very. I love the performance. I think there's a seed of something that's very great there, and I can see that growing. I can see you entertaining like crowds and stadiums, honestly, because you do it very, very well. And I guess for me personally, like, I think over the years, I think of magic and I think of like David Blaine, for example, and he has a performance element as well. and he has his way of doing things, and that's great as well. But I really love the entertaining way that you do it. I don't know why. I think I'm not sure if I showed my mum before as well, and I think she had the same impression. So it's very,
Wow.
yeah, there's a lot of charisma there, and I think what you're doing, yeah, it really works. So
Thank you. And I definitely say, like, when you talk about sort of David Blaine and people like that, I think that's the great thing that they've managed to do, is, like, I guess, find the sort of brand of magic that works for them. Do you know what I mean? Finding something that makes them unique, that people associate with them. So yeah, it's interesting. David Blaine is a really good example of that, of someone who's worked out what it is that makes him a bit different.
yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And can I just ask? So I read on somewhere that you were interested in magic from the age of 13.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is it that drew you into magic? Well, initially, was it that you just liked? Did you like seeing? Because everyone loves seeing magic. Was it the seeing magic, or were you always drawn to the kind of, I want to learn how to do it and perform it for others?
Yeah, really good question. It was that weird thing for me, Chris, when I sort of had no interest in magic at all. Like, I did like entertaining and telling jokes and stuff, but on Christmas Eve, um, uh, when I was 13, so, you know, a while back now, I was upstairs in my cousin's room. My cousin's the same age as me, and he was showing me this magic trick, and I was just totally blown away by it. I thought, how on earth is that possible? I thought, I've got to learn how that trick works. And the trick cost £18, and when you're 13, that's obviously, like, that was a lot of pocket money. So I was like, you know, getting it out, and I thought, I went to this magic shop a few weeks later and I bought this trick, and I practiced it and took it into school, and I just sort of caught the bug of magic, and since then just kind of kept practicing and kept going in. And I guess, when you find something that you really enjoy, you kind of don't really think about the practice. And I guess people sometimes say, oh, you must have practiced for hours and hours and hours. And I guess I have, but I guess it never really feels like practice, because I just sort of naturally am drawn to doing it, as it were. So yeah, it was that was sort of how I first got into it, with someone showing me a trick, my cousin, and then me just kind of getting a bit obsessed with it since then.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, okay. So there's a bit of a love affair, and you enjoy performing as well. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so one question I'd have so I think with the rise of like digital, sort of the digital social media and everything, a lot of creative things are happening on platforms like Instagram and other things like YouTube. I'm just curious from sort of intellectual perspective, because I know you think about things. I know that you're not just a performer, which you're very, very good at. You also study things like the foundations of things, which is awesome. So I'm just how do you think, like, all of this Instagram, YouTube, and everything is going to affect, like, is it going to mean that magicians are going to do a lot better? Because I feel like these platforms are quite conductive to people that can do awesome stuff like you.
I think that's a really good point, Christian. I think the two, like, quick things I'd say about that is, I think the one big benefit with social media now is that in sort of the 80s and 90s, unless you had or even in the early 2000s, I suppose, we forget how recently social media has come into our lives. But if when sort of my parents were growing up, if they had a love of magic or something like that, it's quite difficult to get your name out there, really. If you're, unless you've got really good contacts, or you're very, very lucky. Whereas now, in a way, anyone can be a magician, because if you put out a video of you doing a magic trick,
Yeah,
it can get millions and millions of views. You can, so it makes these things much more accessible, not just magic, but also singing or any comedy.
yeah,
It all becomes like, almost like, social media is more viewed than than ITV1 or BBC. Some of these videos get tens of millions of views.
yeah,
But the other thing I would say as well, the only thing about that is that, something like magic, it is, I don't want to sound too sort of puritanical about it, but it is something that does need to be, there are sort of, you do need to study it in a way and kind of get the grips of it. and you want to keep a certain standard of magic, in a way. And I guess that's probably the only thing. And also on social media, there's quite a lot of people who expose magic tricks,
Yeah.
and which isn't probably is kind of cool, but is also not very healthy for the magic community, because once you take away the veil, magic is actually not magical at all. It's actually quite boring. So yeah, it's kind of trying to keep that veil over magic is maybe something that social media and magic butt heads on a little bit, I'd say.
Interesting. Okay. And would you say, just hearing you talk, I get the feeling that I think what I've realized after what you just said and the question that I asked is magic is something that you have to experience in person, because it's, I mean, you can experience it on social media and everything and in a video, and it can still be really cool. But I think what you're getting at, I'm not sure that you mean this, but that's why I'm asking, but is the performance of seeing it in person, like, I think, because I think like going to a magic show is pretty awesome. Like, it's something to look forward to. You're there, you have the day out, and then the person is there, they're performing, and it's happening in front of you, and a lot. That's
Absolutely, Chris, 100%. I mean, obviously not at the moment, but hopefully next month, I could go to the cinema and, pay 10 quid and go and watch a movie that's had $100 million spent on it, with incredible special effects and all people flying and people doing all sorts of stuff. So now the bar of what's impressive online is very, very high. Yeah. Whereas you're right, in person, it's a lot more impressive if something's happening in front of your eyes right there. You're less likely to think, oh, there's some sort of camera trick or something. So yeah, you're totally right. In person is a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. And I feel like this is a very obvious question, but do you love the magic equally as much as you love entertaining? So I'm sure when you see, like, when you're doing magic for people, whatever age they are, like, I'm sure you see some like wow and whatever, and you can see it in their eyes. And that must be a wonderful feeling to see that you've created that moment for them. So is it
100%, Chris? I would say for me personally, I prefer the entertaining to the magic. I'm in the magic circle, and when I go to the magic circle meetings, some of the people there, honestly, mate, can do like literally incredible stuff with sleight of hand and stuff. And I am literally like, right, I'll just let myself out, because I've got, I cannot even attempt that sort of stuff. So for me, I'm more, into the sort of performing side of it rather than the actual physical magic stuff.
Yeah. Has there been any moment in the last? So, well, you're 20. How old are you right now?
I'm nearly 22. 20. Yeah, no worries. I'm 21 now, and I'm turning 22 in May.
Okay, so you've been doing magic here and there for at least 8, 9 years, 7, 8 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
Are there any moments in there that, and these can be personal moments, so maybe it's at Christmas Eve with your family, or any shows that you've done, because I know you've done some shows as well. And we'll come to the fact that you've been on TV shows as well with Britain's Got Talent. Is it Britain, the summer variety show as well?
Britain Does Variety, it was called.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you've been on TV. I'm curious. So what was it like seeing Simon Cowell and
absolutely. Yeah. So when I was 16, I went on Britain's Got Talent, and it was a very, very bizarre experience. I really enjoyed the experience. I mean, looking back, to be honest, I was definitely too young to go on it, if I'm being honest, because I was only 16. I was very, very young, and it was I was kind of backstage, and it was about 2,500 people in the audience. And I remember I was feeling quite confident. I was looking forward to going on. And then the person who went on just before me started to sing, and suddenly everyone in the audience just started shouting off, off, off. And then the buzzers went. Yeah. And I remember just being like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely terrifying. It is sort of like, I guess, the modern day equivalent to like going into the kind of gladiatorial ring almost. It's very sort of like quite brutal when you go on stage. But luckily they were very, very nice to me, and kind of was just a big blur. It just sort of went on, and the whole thing kind of was a bit of a blur. But yeah, luckily it wasn't too bad, and I had a fun time. Very fun. I learned a lot. Definitely learned a lot.
That's very nice to hear. I'm going to link that video because I've seen it myself. I've seen it, I think, a while ago. I don't know why. I think I must have. We must have. We must have texted, and I must have seen it. I DM'd you or something. I saw it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't show that you like. It doesn't show that you were scared. And I just want to stress the fact that you were 16, which is that is incredible. That you, in front of 2,000 people. And it really, like, people will watch it after because I'm going to link the video. They can see it. It doesn't show. So I'm surprised that you handled that very, very well.
Well, I appreciate that, and I guess it is that sort of thing of like sometimes you got to think, I guess, sort of fake it till you make it a bit. Like if you kind of like force yourselves to feel relaxed, it can help a little bit. So I think there's quite a lot of that on stage.
Interesting you say that because I done a sort of a Zoom sort of podcast with a couple of medics that are in the year above me, and one of the sort of the number one tips that one of the students, his name is Rayan, gave was the number one life lesson he's learned is fake it till you make it.
Yeah, I think Rayan's got a very, very good. That's a good tip there, definitely.
Yeah, so it's funny that applies in every industry, in every field.
100%. Yeah.
Just make it till you make it. Yeah,
exactly. Okay. I think that is a very, very good tip.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to come back to what I was saying. So I've lost my train of thought there. Do you remember what I was asking you just a little bit before before we started talking about?
You mentioned about the first trick I learned doing magic.
Okay, no, I got it now. Okay,
so
7 years you've been involved and you've done loads of different things. I mean, 16 you were in front of 2,000, 3,000 people. You've been doing shows and stuff as well. Is there any sort of moment that personally means a lot to you that maybe you've seen? Maybe it's a trick you've performed and you got it perfect. Maybe it's a reaction from a family member or whatever that just has stood out to you. If there hasn't, it's fine. There doesn't have to have been any single moment like that. It's fine. If you just enjoyed all of it, that's great too.
Yeah, I think that's a really fantastic question, and I think probably I'd say the answer to that, Chris, would be sadly I can't do this at the moment, but my mum is a nurse, and she now works in a hospital. But when a few years ago, she used to work in a like a care home, and I would sort of go in there and do magic in the care home, and it was definitely sort of had some really lovely moments going in there and doing tricks on people, because I guess it is sort of that really lovely thing of being able to I guess have a connection with someone using magic, and you can use magic as a tool, and I would really urge anyone just to learn one or two tricks and just to have them, because even really simple tricks, it can be a really lovely way to kind of break the ice when you're trying to speak to someone, especially maybe someone, if you're in a care home, you might have a lot of chronic pain or something and not really be up for having a long chat, and just someone doing a trick can really help. So I'd say probably I've got a few moments going into the care home my mum used to work in, and meeting people there and having some really lovely moments with them thanks to the tool of magic.
That's really lovely. Thank you for sharing that, because that is really, it's very touching. I feel touched. So that was lovely. Thank you, Patrick. Not to get too deep, but you know what? I was just, whilst you were talking, I was just thinking, like, not just the arts, but I think almost all industries, like the best people are in service of others. Like that's the goal, is to with magic. I'm assuming it's to entertain people, to make them laugh, and to have joy. And I think magic has such a powerful ability to do that. It's so instantaneous. I mean, it's like everyone can, like we were saying earlier, like kids love magic, but everyone loves magic. And I because I'm not so involved in the industry, or I don't follow all the magicians and everything. Obviously, I'm not involved in the industry because I'm not a magician. But good tip with the trick thing. I concur with that. Learning one or two tricks as well. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna learn a trick. And next time I see you, Patrick, I'm going to perform a trick, and then you're going to try and figure it out.
I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm going to hold you to that one. I can't wait to see a bit of magic.
Right. Okay. And if you figure out, you know what, I'm kind of lying, because I have one trick that's very good that I do. So if you figure it out.
What is the trick?
it's a coin trick.
Uh-huh.
I make the coin disappear through friction, and it goes into my body and it dissolves.
What? Okay, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I told my friend,
I was not expecting you to say that.
no, you know what? I'm trying to sell it. So yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
sounds incredible.
yeah. I told my friend the other day, and she's a medic. And she was like, but if the coin, like it was a copper coin, right? So it's like a 1p coin. She was like, but wouldn't you get copper poisoning if it dissolves? I was like, why do you have to go there? You know, medics. No.
They're always overthinking it when it comes to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I definitely say the same with you, Chris. I mean, 100%. Like the kind of job you're going into, it. Thank goodness. Hopefully, in during this time, we've as a society began to sort of realize and appreciate more the work that medics and nurses and doctors do and stuff. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible. So yeah, it's great.
Thanks. I'm not doing it yet, so I can't take any credit, but I agree with you. It's great. So if there are any doctors watching, or nurses, or anyone involved in healthcare, yeah, fantastic. Thank you. So coming back to the magic, so I think I'm not sure because I don't follow everything. I don't know how big magic really is. Like how many people actually love going to shows and watching stuff. But
Mm.
after watching you, I don't know why I get the impression like it's just a feeling, and again I could be completely off it, but I feel like it's got so much potential to grow. Like it can be an industry that can be huge, like really huge.
Mhm.
I don't know if it is already, and it's just me that is living under a rock, and I don't know. So
Yeah.
as someone that's involved, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I feel like it's a lot smaller than other industries like acting and things. So many people want to be actors and singers and things like that. I think it is getting bigger, and I think there is a bit of a stereotype of magicians, of sort of a guy with a pack of cards, sort of a little bit awkward doing a trick, and I think some people like David Blaine and people like that are beginning to shape that up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, for like a bit of context, like there's about 1,000 members of the Magic Circle, and so it is quite a small industry still. And there's maybe a few hundred professional magicians around the UK. So yeah, it's not massive. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not too sure. I feel like maybe a lot of children get into magic, and then it's about sort of doing it and then pursuing it and keeping practicing. Do you know what I mean? It's keeping going with it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I always say I always think, well, if there's a lot of stereotypes or an industry is slightly small, that means there's that much potential for it to grow and people to blow it up and
Exactly.
change those stereotypes. So yeah.
Absolutely, and like everything's interconnected. Like when the Harry Potter series came out, the amount of sales of magic kits massively increased. So it's very interesting how people can be influenced. In a few years' time, we might see hundreds and thousands, or thousands of budding magicians if there's a new trend like online or something.
Yeah. That's what I would never have thought of that. So yeah, yeah, that's a really, really good point. Yeah. Okay. I think for people that have been watching so far, they'll have definitely noticed that not only are you obviously very talented, but you think about things as well. You come across very, very smart. Like you're self-reflective, I think. The way that you talk as well, the references and stuff. It's very you're sharp. It's very good. So I don't think it will come as a surprise that you're to people that are watching that you're also a very, very talented actor, because I know you mentioned in the beginning that you're doing magic, but you're also acting. So let's start with the acting. So I saw I sampled some of your acting when we were at the National Youth Theatre, and and it's not a compliment, right? Because we had how many people were in that class? How many students do you remember?
I'd say probably about 23 or 24, maybe more. Yeah, I'd say about that. Would you say?
Yeah, I can. You know what? In my head, I can remember the big circle where we'd sit on the floor and then we'd do those games and everything, and we'd form up. Yeah, I'm doing this. If you don't know why, it's because we pass around the ball. So
yeah,
so yeah,
good memories, good times,
wonderful memories. But there was one day where we saw you and the lead tutor. I remember her face very well, but her name's
Alice.
Alice. There you go.
Alice, yeah.
Alice. you and Alice were doing some scenes where you were sort of messing around and you were directors, and I think everyone saw the talent just shine through both of you. But you were.
Well, and I do have to very quickly say, Chris, to anyone watching as well, I'm sure you all know what a great medic Chris is going to be when he leaves medical school. But I will never forget he did some outstanding performances, and I really mean that as Mark Zuckerberg. I loved it from The Social Network. It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, really good.
Thank you. I've got those videos stored, so if anyone wants to debunk that, I can show you. I can show you why that's not exactly true. I think Patrick is really really nice, but we'll come to that. But yeah, you were like it was very clear that there's some awesome talent there. In terms of acting. What drew, like, was acting also like from a young age? Was it at some? How did you get into acting?
Well, I mean, when I was about sort of 10 years old, I was cast in a production of Oliver, the musical in the West End.
Yeah.
I was just in the workhouse in the kind of chorus there, and I really loved that. It was great to be on stage every night, doing something like that. But it wasn't really until when I was about 17, I was at school and I auditioned for a thing called the RADA Youth Company, which I'd really recommend anyone who's watching who's between sort of 16 and 20, so, a kind of that sort of age, or knows anyone. It's a brilliant course. It's like a week-long, every Saturday training course at RADA, which is a drama school in London. And I loved doing that, mate. It really kind of got me excited about acting, and I started watching a lot more films and TV and getting really into that side of things. That's how I really got into it, was during the RADA Youth Company.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And with the acting, so do you enjoy the performances for the performance? Is it like something that it draws you because of your own curiosity of, like, for the character, or is it that because magic, I can clearly see you love entertaining people. Is that the same, would you say, for the acting, or is there more? Yeah.
I definitely say that with acting, it is, of course. I do really think that acting can be, and I guess should really be entertaining, and that's a big reason why I love doing it. But I'd also say as well, like, it's a very sort of big privilege and a very special thing to be able to tell someone's story, or to experience someone's story. And I guess that's why I love acting, is it gives you an ability to, I guess, like reading a book, you get to experience, or try to experience as much as I can from my own position, someone else's life, and try and play another character and live another life. And it's quite a special thing to, play someone else and be someone else and tell someone else's story, and then come out of that and go back to your own life. It's quite an exciting thing. And I guess with acting, there's always that curiosity about learning about the world and about other things, and about things that you might be playing a part of something that you've never experienced yourself. So trying your best to understand as much as you can is something that I love doing, and that's, I guess, a big part of acting is the research beforehand.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. The one thing I say, so when we were doing the screen acting masterclass, as I said, Patrick was one of the co-teachers, co-leads that were teaching all the students. I'll always remember that in between one of the days when we were rehearsing, you had an audition at RADA, which you went to. You came back and you brought us, I think, I can't remember if it was cookies or not, but you brought us some food. And that will always stay in my mind, because I was thinking, what a lovely person. You were teaching, you had your own audition, which I'm sure you were very nervous for, but you didn't let it show. And then you also came back and brought us food on the way back, which was...
Thanks, Chris. Well, because I remember, I think on that day you all had to go and do an audition, didn't you, in front of the panel?
I was very nervous that day. But coming to that, so we were going through the script, and I noticed that you were very, very good at breaking things down. I mean, you asked questions when we were reading the script that really made me think. And I read that that script like 7, 8 times. Well, to be fair, I mean, this was my only acting experience up till then, so it wasn't like I'm some, amazing reader. But I remember thinking, wow, he's really breaking things down like really, really well. Like you were thinking about the script in a lot of different ways. And as you said, like you do like doing the research, and it's a privilege to play any character for an audience. So it absolutely makes sense that you're going to put in the work to make sure that you feel like you're doing it a service. Where does that where does that come from? How have you learned to do it? Like, is that because you've had training, or is that something that's instinctive? Because you were only like, were you 18, 19 at the time that you were doing this, that you were leading the national?
Yeah. I must have been when I did. I think I was at 19 or 20. Yeah, that sort of age. But I feel like that's a really good point. I think that's the big thing. I think with acting is doing all of that work and all that research with the script, but then being able to forget about it when you go on stage, as it were, and living. I guess one of the things with acting is trying to be really present in the moment when you're doing a scene and riding whatever's coming in that moment, rather than intellectualizing and thinking or overthinking or observing yourself. So that's one big thing that I sort of really I guess try and do. But I think in terms of learning it, I think a lot of it's been different training. Like I joined the National Youth Theatre when I was 18, and they gave some great training there, and also just I guess reading books. There's a great book called An Actor Prepares, which is by Stanislavski, and that's got some really interesting theories in it, and another one by Mike Alfreds, and there's some really good reading material out there. So I guess they're sort of the main things. But I would also say, and Chris, you're being very kind, and I appreciate that, but there's definitely, I'm still very much learning, and so trying to soak up as much as I can, and also like doing things like the National Youth Theatre course we did together. I learned so much from the participants, seeing what they yourself included, absolutely was some really interesting stuff that I learned from. So it was a great experience for me as well.
Yeah, and I absolutely believe that, because I think I've noticed that as well. When you teach something, you often learn a lot from the people that you're teaching. So
100%, yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I remember at the time you also recommended a book to me, which was, I think, called The Actor and the Target.
Oh yeah.
Donnelly. I think I've got the book. I think I read it once, but I think it was very advanced for me. So it was kind of and of course, it was
it's quite heady, isn't it? Yeah, it's quite sort of up there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you said that initially. You were like, it is a little bit heady, but it's worth the read. But so I will get to it. Read that in the summer. So So obviously you're reading stuff as well, and you're quite knowledgeable. And I just want to remind everyone that you were only 19, 20 at the time, which like it's because everyone else on that course was 15 to 25. There was some very young people, some a little bit older, but the level of sort of experience that you have and had for your age, I thought personally, it's just, I might be wrong. Maybe there are loads of very, very talented people that are out there like you, but you're the first one I met. So I was so that was
thank you.
Pretty awesome. I remember you also recommended an app to me for learning lines as well. I think it was Screen Reader. Yeah.
And have you got that app, or have you gone for that?
I've got that app. It's still on my phone. It's still there.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, yeah. Do you have?
It is a good one, that.
But yeah. Do you have any difficulties like remembering lines and stuff, or is that not too much of a challenge for you now?
I'd say on the whole, I'm quite lucky that the lines come quite quick. But I would say one thing about the kind of acting industry is often if you get an acting job that's come in, the casting director might want to see the self-tape maybe probably between about 24 to 48 hours after telling you. So you have got to get quite used to learning lines super quick. So I'd say I'm pretty good at that, but that app is a lifesaver. That's helped me a lot over the years.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the acting that you've done more recently. So I'll let you sort of talk about this, because obviously you know what you've done. But I for one, when I was doing a little bit of research for this, I came across the fact that you played a young Grinch in The Christmas Carol in 2020.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm very curious. How was that? 'Cause
Yeah.
I can imagine you would have blown that performance out of the park. So how
Oh,
was that?
thanks, man. Well, it was a great experience. Yeah, it was that young Scrooge. It was Scrooge as a young man.
Yeah.
Really fun experience. It was like a Zoom performance. So we did it online on YouTube during Christmas. Yeah, had a lot of fun doing it. Although it was a bit nerve-wracking because my internet was kind of freezing a bit before, which is definitely a new 21st century COVID problem that actors now have. I was sort of thinking, oh my, this is not good at all. But thankfully, it did sort of speed up a little bit just as I went on. But yeah, really, really fun experience. Really learned a lot from doing that, and I was very lucky to be able to do that even during the coronavirus.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and I can just imagine that character sounds like awesome fun to play. Like
It
that
was
just
a lot of fun, yeah, especially such an iconic character as well. And I got to before the show, I read Christmas Carol, which I'd never read before, and really loved it. So it opened up a new kind of world to me.
yeah, that makes
Mm.
sense. Okay, and other than that, I know that you've been involved with the is it called the Almeida Theatre? Is that how
Yeah,
you?
the Almeida, yeah, in London.
Okay, so
Mm.
you've been involved with them for how long? Can I?
Yes, I was in their young company, which is a year-long course that I did from 2019 to 2020.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, you put on a play for about 2 weeks in their theatre in London. But of course, that couldn't happen because of COVID. So actually, very kindly, they've extended the course. So I'm actually still doing it now, which
Mm.
is mad because it's nearly been well, I guess a year and a half now of doing it, which is amazing. And we're hoping to do a production. It keeps getting pushed back, but at the moment it's looking like it's going to be in the summer. So, and that will be either live streamed or fingers crossed, if the kind of plan, the kind of blueprint for getting out of lockdown happens, then it could be in person as well. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Okay, yeah, and will that be? I'm just curious. Would that be open to the general public? Because I
Yeah,
loved it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would definitely be open, and yeah, if you're free, Chris, it'd be so nice because you're living in London, aren't you, at the
I
moment?
am, yeah, I'm living at home, but my home, yeah, home's in London. It's like literally an hour train into London, so into
That's
Central.
brilliant.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's
that
fantastic.
yeah, the trick that I will perform. I'm not sure you can hold me to that, but you can hold me to this. I'd love to come if I'm free. I will
That would be
definitely.
great. I'd love that. It'd be so nice to see you in person, Chris.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, so in that, okay, I'm really glad that you've had the extra 6 months then, because I'm assuming, like you said, you still feel like you're learning acting, and it's still a learning process, and you're still at the beginning.
Mm.
So I'm assuming that the extra 6 months has been awesome experience then, because you get to be around and pick up.
100%. And I always remember one thing that I heard Judy Dench once say in like an interview, and she said that the moment she comes off stage and has got nothing to improve and can't think of anything to improve, she's going to quit acting. Because I think and I thought that was such a great thing that I always remember is that I'm always going to be learning stuff, and if I ever get to a point where, do you know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah,
always sort of trying to teach myself and train myself, because I think and I guess everyone in the world, and especially with acting, you can't really ever have enough training and enough knowledge.
yeah.
Mm,
That's very thoughtful, and I agree. Yeah,
mm.
and you said it, and it makes a lot of sense. I think that applies to almost everything.
Yeah.
Anything worth doing. Yeah, if you know everything, then either
Mm.
yeah, you know what? I'm not going to try and paraphrase what you said because you said it really well. so, yeah, okay. And so just coming a little bit back to the National Youth Theatre. So I know
Mm.
you've been involved there, and with the Almeida Theatre, where you've been doing this course for the last year.
Mm.
And yeah, and it's a lot of stage acting.
Mm.
So have you always been drawn to the theatre and stage acting in particular? And
Mm.
in the future, is that something like, I guess it's a bit of a silly question to say, what do you want to do? Because I'm assuming you probably want to do a bit of everything.
Mm.
But what is it about the theatre that's sort of drawn you in?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is that sort of buzz of an audience that you get when you come on stage, and you get that sort of, there's a real electricity to a stage performance. And I suppose also that, when you go on stage, I guess, Chris, it's like every single night and every single performance is different and alive and unique. Whereas I suppose with film and TV, although it's amazing and it's got a much bigger platform as well, and it's some amazing writing and great characters and stuff, often, you might be doing a take 3, 4, 5 times, and you might just be doing one line and then cutting. And so it's a lot much more of a jolted and protracted experience. So I do like the kind of instantaneous nature of theatre. But yeah, I would love in the future to work more in film and TV as well, 100%.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I guess like as someone that has not personally done, like I only like the first time I acted was when we met during that screen acting masterclass. So
Wow, that's
so
it.
I
Very,
learned,
very impressive, Krish. Brilliant.
don't go there, don't go there, Patrick. Don't go to the Zuckerberg. No, let's not do that. But no, with the National Youth Theatre, like when I discovered them, I was really surprised that the level of talent that's come out of that place. Is there are people like Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
I don't want to say others that maybe not have been. But was Dame Judi Dench, was she also NYT?
Um, I'm not certain, but I've got a feeling. Yeah, I'm not 100%, but yeah, Daniel Craig definitely was. Yeah.
Yeah, there have been some amazing people that have come out of that company, and
Sure.
I guess from the outside, I like, to me acting was just film because I didn't go to the theatre a lot growing up, which is a bit of a shame, and I hope to correct that in the years to come. But yeah, like, what about the whole kind of like classical training being important, and stage acting kind of gives you a lot of that, because you do explore like Shakespeare and a lot of plays and stuff, and obviously you have to read a lot and you're reading into stuff, and you obviously are doing that. Do you think that gives you some sort of benefit that someone that is acting only in film maybe doesn't get? I'm just
Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely feel that kind of stage acting. A lot of great actors have started in the stage. A lot of great actors who now work in film, I guess, hone their skills on stage because they can try out new stuff every night. They get lots of attempts. That and also there's a lot more theatre work out there than in film and TV as well. Um, but so I definitely, but I also feel like, fingers crossed, theatre becomes more accessible, because at the moment it still does have a sort of allure about it of being quite sort of elitist and quite sort of not for everyone. I think that is beginning to change, but I feel hopefully it will go further, because there's a lot of people in the UK, for example, who have never been into a theatre. So, which I think is a big shame, because it's such a great place to be. But I feel like theatres have a responsibility to make sure that everyone feels welcome and everyone can be able to go and afford to go and feel like it's something that's worthwhile as well.
Okay. Well, for us young people and students
Mm.
in general, would you make any recommendations of like places in London where we might, once everything opens up, fingers crossed, where we might be able to get into a show that is not going to cost us the bank, let's
Absolutely.
say? Are there any?
Yeah, I'd say sort of like three big ones for me, Chris. Is the first one is a thing called Entry Pass, which I think is up to 25, but I'm not certain on that.
Sure.
And that's like a scheme with the National Theatre where you can get tickets for £7.50 to see any of the shows, and you just sign. It's free to sign up, become a member, and then when you get to the theatre, you just show some ID, and then you get the ticket. That's a good one. Also, the Shakespeare's Globe. All you can go and stand in the pit for £5 for any of their shows. So if you want to go and see a play there, but you don't want to pay sort of 30 or 40 pounds, you can go and stand in the pit. And another really good one I'd say is a charity called Mousetrap Theatre Tickets, which are it's like a charity for young people, I think 30 and under,
Okay.
who you can apply, and they'll send you emails when they basically block buy tickets for shows, and they then sell them for like £5 or £10 to the person. So and they email you so you can go and see big West End shows for like £10. It's a scheme to get young people into theatres. So they're sort of three really good ones to have a look into.
Thank you. I will definitely check those out. And for anyone that's watching, if you like me, if you've not seen a lot of theatre and maybe want to watch it, or even if you love theatre, it's always good to save money. So
Definitely, yeah.
so, yeah, I might put the links in underneath. Is the Globe Theatre, is that the one on the South Bank?
Absolutely, yeah. Just a bit further down from the National Theatre, by London Bridge is the Globe, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, any international students, now you have a rough idea. If you don't know
Exactly,
where,
yeah.
we can figure it out. That's awesome. I'm just curious now. Is there any, like, in your family? So were your parents like, what were they like? You said your mum is a nurse.
Yeah.
So where does this talent for performing and acting? Because acting is really, really hard. Like, there's one thing you were saying earlier, which you were saying the reading and everything and intellectualizing the character is important, but you have to let it go when you perform. And as someone that tried acting for the first time, I realized that was very, very like you made it. You said it in a very simple way, but that's very, very difficult to do.
Definitely, mate. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really, really good point. And I think that, it's very, very, very hard, I guess, when you're on stage or when you're in front of a camera to be totally vulnerable and to let the sort of let go of any sort of want to sort of, I guess let go of any sort of fears or nerves or sort of. One thing I sometimes find is I'm watching myself when I'm acting. I'm sort of thinking, how am I coming across? And that can be a block to really great acting. So yeah, you're totally right, Chris. That's a really difficult thing. I think some people struggle more than others with that, but it's definitely a difficulty with acting.
Yeah, and I remember like the person behind the camera, was his name Jasper?
Jasper, yeah.
Yeah, I remember him. He was also, because he was also someone that came across very thoughtful about his acting, and I'm assuming he's a director, so he's been involved and seen loads of actors over the years. And I think he said he only ever seen one performance that made him feel that someone was being completely vulnerable. Like, it really stuck with him. So yeah, and it's credit to you. Yeah, well, I was going to say that's because it's clear that you have a talent because you're able to do it. And I've seen it, so that's awesome. So was that talent? Is that a genetic thing? Where's that come from? Is that like?
Yeah. It's definitely. I to be honest with you, I honestly don't know, Chris, because I've got 4 siblings, and none of them. I mean, they've all got different interests, of course, and different hobbies, but none of them are really at all into sort of performing. And both my mum and dad are very supportive, which is amazing. I'm really lucky to have that, but they're certainly not performers either. I did find out recently that my dad's cousin, so a bit of a tenuous link, but my dad's cousin is I did go to drama school and doesn't really do acting now, but he used to be an actor. But yeah, I honestly, it's very. I don't really have anyone in my kind of close family who shares my love of performing, but they're all very supportive and stuff, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really glad. I mean, having the support of your parents is very important for anyone. I mean, like for me as well, going into medical school, like having my dad support me has been, it's A+. So.
And have you come from a medical family, Chris, or not really?
No, so yeah, so my dad works in the post office. So he moved to here from India. So I think he grew up in India until he was like 25, 26. Then he married my mum. My mum sort of grew up here from a very young age, but she was born in Uganda. It's a bit weird, but I think there's a lot of people that come from sort of my background, which is Gujarati Indian, ethnically. There are a lot of them migrated from India to Africa before coming to here, to the UK. I think it was because of I think Idi Amin. I'm not sure. There was some bad stuff happened, and a lot of the Indians in Africa had to leave. So there were many that were born in Africa that then moved to the UK and the US, I think. So that was so my mum was always here. She kind of grew up here, but my dad sort of joined later. My mum used to work in the school, and she was I think she was cleaning. She was cleaner. My dad is a postman, so no medics, but anyone that's sort of Indian knows that Indian parents generally love the idea of their children going into medicine. You know what, people say it's because of it's a stable job and the money, whatever. But I honestly don't think my parents well, one, they didn't push me into it, which was really nice. I was always kind of interested, so they supported me. But I think a lot of parents that want their children to go into medicine actually, like when you really think about the root cause, it's because it's a field of service, and it's such a great, like, you can't tell someone that it's not a great thing. Almost, I think it's true for a lot of different things. I think if you're a magician that's going to entertain millions of people, that's wonderful, right? If you're an actor that can do performances that bring people to tears or whatever, or make people experience things on stage, that's also, it's equivalent. I don't really sort of, it's not one is better than the other, but I think that's why a lot of Indian parents in particular want their children to go into this field, because it's you're helping others. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, so yeah, no, I don't think. Well, you know what? I think for you, it's a for all the medics watching, it's a somatic mutation. So what that means is it's not genetically. You've got some natural talent, and it's just some mutation, and it's in you, and yeah, and you're a performer. So yeah,
I've learned a new medical term today. That's always good.
yeah. Well, people ask you, if were there performers in your family? You can be like, no, I'm the first. I'm a somatic mutation.
Yeah.
That's what there was some mutation. Awesome. Right. So with the great. You know what? I should have kept some water as well, but that's really smart. I'm gonna remember that for the next one.
I definitely would offer you some, Krish, but it might be a bit difficult. There you go.
If you could do some magic and it could reach here,
that would be awesome. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Okay, you know what? That reminded me one question I wanted to ask you. So we'll start with the acting. So are there any particular actors that you love watching? I'm not going to say one favorite, because I'm sure that there are multiple. So are there any particular actors that yeah.
Well, I'd say if I had to give my top three, Krish, it would probably be number one would be if I'm honest, I think at the moment probably Tom Hanks is quite a classic choice, but for me, every time I watch Tom Hanks, he's such a sublime, detailed actor, and so versatile as well in what the kind of different parts he plays. I'd also say I'm a big fan of Steve Carell as well, from sort of The Office, and I really love. I think he's a really underrated actor, and I think he's a great character actor, and also a guy who a performance I'll never forget. He's not very well known, but he's a guy called Papa Essiedu, and he in about 2 years ago played Hamlet at OSC, and I went to go and see him in London when he was doing it in London, and it was an amazing performance, and so truthful. So I think those three always spring to mind. But yeah, I just really think seeing great acting is something so exciting. It kind of gives me tingles when I see really committed acting. Some performances are just brilliant.
Awesome. Those are three really. I have to admit I didn't know Papa. When I watched this again, sorry, his name was Papa.
No, Papa Essiedu.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, he's not. He hasn't really been in any big TV or film. He's mainly a theatre actor, but he's definitely up and coming. Really good actor.
Yeah. Okay. I realized something whilst you were talking, but I'll come to that at the end, and I'll tell you what it is. But yeah, we'll go. But yeah, I agree. Steve Carell, I love him. He's funny and everything, and he's brilliant. And Tom Hanks is a legend. So yeah, it's funny you say, because I was watching him on the Graham Norton show because I was just YouTube and he was talking about doing the accent for Woody in Toy Story, and he's so charismatic. I mean,
he's brilliant. Yeah, he's so great on and off screen. He's brilliant.
Yeah, and there's one film that I've seen him in. I can't remember the name of it, but he's in the airport, and he's
the Terminal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I it's a really, really good film. So yeah, if anyone hasn't seen it, watch it. It's really, really good. Is it Catherine Zeta-Jones in there as well?
I can't, to be honest, I haven't seen that film for a while, but she
Yeah,
could well be there. I've got a feeling, yes.
yeah. Okay, yeah, a great
Yeah.
film. Okay, yeah. Um, so yeah, okay, that's really interesting. One thing I wanted to ask you is, so
Mm,
in terms of your own acting,
mm,
when you think about like your favorite actors, do you take inspiration from them in the sense that there's things from them that you want to incorporate into your own acting, or
mm,
is it that you're just looking to? Because I noticed you said earlier that, like, for example, with David Blaine in Magic, what makes him great is that he is doing his thing, and
mm.
it works for him, but it won't necessarily work for everyone. So do you want to sort of discover your own version of like what's going to make you, because you're in the learning process and you're having all these great experiences, and I'm sure you're going to discover more about yourself as an actor. So I'm just, you know what, I've just made that into one big thing, but I'll let you
Absolutely.
have a go.
I think that's a really great point, Chris. And I think the big thing I'd say about that is that the sort of I guess the one probably big problem with sort of social media and things like that is it does create a sort of culture of always trying to compare yourself to others. So, seeing what people present themselves, the side they present, and thinking, oh, I wish I was like that person, or I wish I had that trait, or something like that. So, I guess like that's probably the like one big thing I've learned and trying to put into practice is, just as there's only one Chris in the world, there's only one of me in the world, and there's only one of someone else. And so when you sort of harness that and think, actually, there's no one else in the world who's exactly like me, and I can find what other people are doing that's working for them, and seeing and learning from them, and then making it adapt to yourself, I think is really really important. I think, rather than trying to be, because no one wants another Tom Hanks because they've already got one. Do you know what I mean? And no one wants another, you know, dot 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 whoever it is. You want to try and find what it is that you like about Tom Hanks and how can you apply it to yourself. So yeah, I think that's a really good question, but I think that's what I'd say is um, trying to make it work for you is really important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know what, just listening to you talk, I still can't believe you're just 21. I mean, because the thing is, like, I was reading a little bit about Tom Hardy, who I really like his performance.
Yeah, great actor.
Great, yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a bit cliche because everyone knows he's a great actor now, but obviously he's shown it over the years. But like he got into acting, I think a little bit late, like 26, 27, I think,
Yeah.
was the age that he got into it. And one of my other favorite actors, Hugh Jackman, I think he was acting a little bit. Yeah, I love Hugh Jackman.
Brilliant actor, yeah.
Awesome, yeah. He also, I'm sure like they were doing some stuff before, but it was a bit later on. Um,
Mm.
and you're involved so early, like you're 21, and you have like clearly like anyone that's watching will consent to this, that you have a lot of knowledge, because and it's not just that you have it, you've obviously thought and you reflect on things. And I'm really happy that you're having all these experiences, because it's only going to propel you forward in your career. Um, I guess, do I want to ask what are your goals in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
What no, I won't ask where you want to be in the next 5 years. What I'm curious is, are there any experiences that you really want to have in the next few years, in terms of learning acting, or whether it's in terms of improving your magic
Yeah.
or just performing? Are there any particular things, or not even particular, but yeah.
I think that's a really great question. And I think, it is hard, especially, we know how, I guess, sort of, ever moving the world we live in is. Who knows what the world's going to be. Who'd have thought we'd be in lockdown still now? You never really know what the future holds. So I guess probably the big thing for me, mate, would be to, feel like I've given this career. It does sound a bit cheesy, but I suppose feel like I've given it my best shot. Do you know what I mean? At trying, if I can say in 5 years, I've given it my best shot at trying this career out. I think that will be sort of really happy for me. But in terms more specifically, I think I'd love to sort of be in a sort of in like a Shakespeare play. I'd love to be cast in something like that. I'd love to experience working in TV and film, and maybe get my magic to a bigger audience as well. Just sort of, I guess, growing as a person and as a performer. So it's hard to really know in 5 years. But I think just kind of trying to keep knocking on doors and keep sort of trying to get my foot a bit further in the door, as it were, is kind of my big aim.
That makes a lot of sense. I think when we were talking about the Globe earlier and the National Theatre, that's something I wanted to ask you, is that one day would you, like, I can imagine that you would, I don't want to sort of speak for you, but would you love to sort of perform there in a Shakespeare play? That would be a pretty...
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I was it was a very, very absolutely tiny part, but I was lucky enough in 2019 to be in the Merry Wives of Windsor at the Shakespeare's Globe during the summer, which was a great experience. I only had one word on stage. I played a part called Budget, which is like a very, very tiny part. It was only in, I think, 2 scenes, but really such a great experience though, and really I got to watch the play sort of, I guess maybe 100 times, and in the dressing room when I was off stage, and really learned a lot from doing that. But yeah, I'd love to go back there and be in, a more substantial part maybe or something, and love to work at the National Theatre. And yeah, 2 really great theatres, and great places to be.
Awesome. That's really awesome. And for those of you that don't know, I did a little bit of research, but I've forgotten. But you're on IMDb as well, and I know you've got a film credit as well.
Yeah.
Is that film? Is it? Can we watch that on Netflix? Is it online somewhere where we can pick it up?
Yeah. Well, that's a really good question. Actually, I've got the DVD of it at home, and I know it was in sort of a few film festivals and things, but I don't think it's available online. But that spurred me to go, and I'm going to go and send the director a message and see what's happened, because that was quite a while ago now. But that was a fun experience, definitely.
Okay, awesome. You know what? I told you that I've got a list of questions there, so I was going to ask you more about your childhood. But the fact that, like, the way this conversation's gone, I actually really, really enjoyed it, and I get the sense that you're in a really good place right now. You're still learning, which is, I still can't believe you're 21. Honestly, it's fantastic. I mean, you don't look a lot older or anything. It's just you're so talented. So
thanks.
So yeah, no, that's awesome. And I feel like what you said, like, you want to keep trying, and you want to keep trying knocking on doors. So you're in a good place. I think the thing I was going to tell you when you were talking about Tom Hanks, I said I'd sort of come back to that, was I think a lot of those people have sort of become, in my mind anyway, they're sort of like institutions. They're so singularly, like, they can draw people in. Like Tom Hanks, like even my mum and dad love Tom Hanks. Like everyone loves Tom Hanks, and Steve Carell definitely has that same quality for different reasons. He has his own version of it, but he also has that star sort of quality. And I was thinking before we had this conversation, because I told you I sort of wanted to do a few more Zoom podcasts, and I was thinking about people that I wanted to talk to. And I now know, I feel like I now realize why you came to mind, because I think you're someone that's in the beginning of developing a similar sort of thing. I don't know why. I just have a sense that you've also got the potential to sort of be an institution, whether it's in magic or acting. I don't know where it's going to be. I mean, if people watch you, they'll see. I mean, there's also, I'm not just sort of saying all these things to compliment you. There's a little bit of that because we're sort of on a guest on it. I was saying there's a little bit of pressure on podcasts. You have to overdo it a little bit. You're really good though.
Thank you.
So I honestly think you have potential to do that. And I say potential because I know that. Well, I don't know, but I have the sense that breaking through these industries, like anything in the arts industries, whether it's magic or acting, it's obviously a lot of talent and hard work, but I feel like you need a lot of luck as well.
100%, yeah. A lot of right place, right time, and all sorts of things can lead into it, definitely.
Yeah, and I really wish you well, because I really hope that that your sort of talent gets to the level that it should, or the level of exposure that it should. And I would just because I've obviously interviewed you at a lovely age. You're 21. I hope when like you're 28, 29, you're like an amazing actor, and then I can tell people that I knew Patrick when he was a lot younger.
And Chris, like same with you, mate. Honestly, like whatever you do in the future, you're such a great guy, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens for you in the future as well. So yeah, it's exciting times.
It is, and I'm really glad lockdown's over. So
Yeah,
you know what? If in the summer you're available, I would love to grab a beer with you, and I would love to come to you as
absolutely love
well.
that. I would absolutely love that. That'd be so nice.
Yeah. Are you still based in? Did you say Maidenhead? Are you still
Yeah,
based there, or
yeah. So I was living in London before COVID, but now yeah, I'm back home in Maidenhead now, which is about sort of about an hour from London. So, and you live in London at the moment, don't you? You're in
yeah?
London.
As in, yeah, London, but it's Essex, Ilford, so it's on the outskirts. So it's still an hour into central, but yeah. So yeah, it would be really awesome to catch up. I you know what I really that 1 week in the National Youth Theatre, just coming back to that for anyone that's watching. If you like acting and stuff, I know Patrick made some recommendations earlier, which are great as well. But the NYT is a wonderful experience. So if you're 16 to 20, 15, 14 to 25, that's the right age. Get involved because Patrick got like I can't believe you said you got involved when you were 17, 18, and a couple of years later you were there teaching the courses, which is yeah. I mean, I can't promise that that would happen for everyone, but it will be a really good experience.
For sure, and there's definitely lots of ways to get involved as well if you're into backstage, and it's a really great organization to be part of.
Yeah. I had some really cheesy questions, like I was going to ask you if you had to choose acting or magic, what would you choose? But you know what, those are not great questions. All right, go on, answer it. Acting or magic? Go on.
I would say, to be honest with you, Chris, I think I'm going to have to say acting.
Yeah.
I'll be very sad. I'll be very, very upset to see magic go. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know what, I don't want to go there because I know you've got the talent to do both. So that's okay. I'm just trying to think. You know what? One thing I've recently been really interested in, and I think we can kind of end it after this. But if you've got anything you want to sort of say or ask, you can sort of chip in at any point. One thing I've been really interested in recently is like technology in terms of like NFT. Have you heard of what NFTs are?
No, what is that?
Okay, so there are like so there's something called blockchain,
Mhm.
which has become like this sort of buzzword for cryptocurrencies and things. But
Mhm.
something that's coming from that is something called NFTs, which is when right now some people are creating like artwork. They create digital art, and on this technology, if you buy the art, you become like the owner of the collectible of like that art. So only one person can have it. So let's say tomorrow you done a video, for example, a magic trick or something, and you created an NFT and you sold it, and I bought it. I would be the only one to have that one NFT. Um,
And and is it sort of like, is it got like, is it encrypted or something?
exactly. It's like a token. You can store it
Wow.
in, I think, a wallet or something. But it seemed like I've been sort of reading a little bit about it, and because I've been watching videos, for anyone that really knows what it is, they're going to think that I'm a bit stupid, which is okay. But it seems like it's a pretty cool thing, and I'm just is that something you're that's not on your radar at the moment? I'm guessing.
Well, I mean, I have heard sort of bits about that, but I mean, I think that's a great idea. I think that's I guess it kind of reminds me a bit of sort of things like Bitcoin and things like that. That's sort of like
It's exactly that.
unique to that person. Yeah, it's not so much on my radar, but I think definitely, Chris. We're living in, as I'm sure especially with medicine and things. We're living in such a fast moving world. Like in 5 years' time, in a year's time, who knows what will the world be like, what's the state of the world going to be like, and how is the world going to change in our lifetimes. I think it's going to be so vast in both good and bad ways as well. I think it's going to be such kind of seismic change that I definitely think being open to change is really important. So I'll certainly be keeping an eye out for things like that, because who knows how. I'm sure there's a way you could use magic with that, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I think the allure of it is that if someone buys into your NFT really early on, there will
Mhm.
always be sort of proof that they knew who you were at a very early point. So it's kind of like if you
Mm.
imagine, like, let's say your favorite. I'm paraphrasing now from I saw someone I watched. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk. He does loads of videos about NFTs and stuff. But he was saying like if many years ago, like your favorite band, when they were just starting off really early on and no one knew them, let's say they created a music album or something, and they sold it as an NFT, and then they became huge. The people that bought that NFT would always be able to sort of brag and say that I knew and prove that they knew. So it's like a kind of a collectible.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like collectibles, right? And yeah, so that's the way I'm
Oh,
thinking.
that's
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Well, Chris, if you ever have an NFT of yourself, let me know and I'll definitely buy one.
Well, that's what I was going to say to you. That's the reason that I brought that up. If you make an NFT, I'll definitely buy it. But
Oh,
yeah, and you know what? It's
wow.
really, yeah, and it's really funny what you said about the world moving really quick. Because earlier today, before we sort of got here, I was at Imperial College's White City campus, and I was part of a sort of some of the fourth year students are doing like a trial project or something, and we
Mhm.
were doing a virtual reality. So they gave me a VR headset, and I got to scrub. So that's just like the surgeon does the operation, I'm behind, and they were doing a hip replacement, and it was amazing. I couldn't believe that you could just put that on and almost it's so much better than learning it from the book. It's almost like you get to move the stuff around and you pass it and it's
And it was all in VR.
VR, yeah. And I could totally see after doing that just once that like in the years to come, that will probably become one of the training methods for doctors because
Yeah,
it's 100 times better than reading in the book about yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant.
yeah. So yeah,
Amazing you can do nowadays. Yeah,
yeah,
with like technology can be used in such a positive way.
yeah. Awesome. Okay, this is I'm so grateful. Thank you for taking the time to. I'm really sorry because you know what, behind me there's a window and I can see it's nice outside. So I'm really sorry that I've kept you inside.
Mate, not at all, Chris. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, mate. I'm really enjoyed this. It's been so lovely to chat. It's been great.
Thank you. I've honestly, your friendship has been excellent because throughout this, you've made recommendations, and that's what you were doing when I was learning from you, and you were teaching us as well. You were just making recommendations, always helping. So you brought us food, which is if you bring someone food, that's like
That always helps. Yeah.
that always helps. Yeah. So I'm really grateful. And I think based on your talent and you know, like you're going to be fine, absolutely, no matter what. And you're a good person, so, and I think good karma always comes back to good people. So, um, so I'm not going to say. I'm just going to say I'm looking forward to you know seeing your trajectory and yeah and what you get up to. If anyone watching this is interested in anything that Patrick has said, can they follow you on Instagram or sort of message
Absolutely.
you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Feel free. My name's Patrick Ash. Yeah, and on Instagram and stuff and Twitter and yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
and I know you're doing lots of Zoom shows and stuff like that as well. So if anyone wants to sort of learn from you, do you do workshops for magic as well?
Yeah, I do actually. I work for like a small local theatre that teach, and I teach like adults and children how to do magic. So yeah, quite a few different things at the moment, stuff like that.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, if anyone's interested in any of those things, you can just I'm going to put some links in the description area below, so you can check out Patrick. I hope for people that are watching, they can see like because the reason I want to do this is I learn a lot from you. So I hope people have learned something from you as well today. Um, any sort of last words, Patrick?
Well,
Anything?
I would love to finish, Chris, with a very quick magic trick. Would that be all right? I feel like that would make. I think that would make sense after the discussions of magic.
I think everyone that's watching up to this point, we would love to see a magic trick. Let's do it.
If you've lasted all this way, this is the. uh, I've got some. I've got some receipts here, Chris. All different receipts.
Yes.
Um, Maplin, Sainsbury's. You get the idea. We're
Yeah.
going to try something with these receipts. One, two, three. As just like that, you can see they actually change into £10 notes, and there you go. There's a bit of a little bit of magic, and just like that, the sun's gone in as well. Yeah,
if you're a student and you're running out of money, this is why you need to.
Exactly. Yeah, come and let me know, and I'll help you out. Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick. That was awesome. We'll end it there. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this, and I hope that we can do this again at some point.
I would love that.
In a few years' time, where you've had some more experience, I'm sure you're going to do some wonderful things along the way. Yeah, we can get back into it. So.
Thank you, Krish. I would absolutely love that. Yeah, and I can't wait to see you soon, hopefully in person. But thank you so much for having me on your channel. I so enjoyed it.
Thank you, and thank you in advance for the 70 magic tricks that I'm now gonna go and watch. Yeah, awesome.
Thanks so much, Krish.
No worries. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, Patrick. I'm gonna stop the recording now.
Brilliant.
Is that okay?
That was great. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. It was great.
No, it was great for me. As you can see, I've been laughing the whole time. I've had exams, so my face has been like a frown for the last month because I'm just sitting there reading books. And
you just how are your exams going, mate? How are they going so far?
You know what? The exams are coming up, so we've got one in 2 weeks' time, which is like an anatomy spotter. So it's just pictures of cadavers, and they ask us they'll point an arrow to a muscle or a bone. It looks nothing like what you would expect it to. Like a bicep just looks so weird on a cadaver. So it's horrible, and we need to figure out what everything is. So I've been staring at pictures of cadavers, which are just. Do you know what cadavers are?
No. What is that?
So I think a cadaver is just a body that's been donated for medical science. Yeah.
And you actually you actually go into detail looking at the body.
Yeah, so you see them in two places. So one is when we're doing anatomy sessions on campus. So for example, dissecting stuff. So when we're looking at organs and stuff, the body's there. You kind of open it up, and it's already sort of been it's very deteriorated. So it doesn't look obviously like a normal human. And obviously it's a privilege because someone's chosen to donate their body for us to learn. So it's awesome but looking at the pictures all day isn't a lot of fun because it's just pictures of bodies, and they don't look particularly nice, and everything is there's so many little nerves and things that are running everywhere in your body. It's so hard to kind of decipher looking at an image what nerve that is, what it does. So I've literally been staring at pictures of cadavers for the last today. That's all I did. So there's that.
Pretty intense stuff, that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then there's two other sort of big exams, which are our end of year, first year exams, where everything we've covered will be tested on. The only thing is we've covered so much, it's hard I don't feel confident that I know everything. Yeah. But I'm just hoping that I've got enough knowledge that on the day of the exam, I might be able to figure some of the ones that I don't know. I can hopefully figure the answers out. And
what day is your exam, Krish?
So the anatomy exam, so the pictures based one, that's on a Friday. I think it's the 29th of April. I might be wrong with that. And then the following week on the Tuesday and Friday are the two sort of main big exams.
Right. Okay.
So right in the beginning of May.
Wow. So well, honestly, mate, I wish you all the best with that, Krish. I really hope that goes well for you, mate.
Thank you. I'm going to need the luck. So thank you. Yeah.
That's really, so it's going to be, and you've got 3 more years, haven't you, or 4 more years left of training?
5. This is first year of 6 years. Yeah. So it's a 6-year course. So yeah, I think what the only thing is in the 5th and 6th years, a lot of it is clinical. So you're based, hopefully, I'm assuming not on campus, but more in hospitals where you're just training with doctors. Yeah. So that's a bit different. And the 4th year is just it's a BSc, so you don't actually do medicine in your 4th year. You just do one other thing. Yeah, you can choose. Yeah.
And so I guess have you been vaccinated and stuff now?
I have, yeah. So I've had my first vaccine. I had the AstraZeneca one. Obviously, the day I had it, the next day on the news, they said that there was potential of blood clots.
Yeah.
I feel so stupid because I'd seen some of my family and I was telling them that No, it's safe. Like there's no evidence to show that
Yeah,
it's going to cause damage, because at the time it seemed like it was just a lot of like the EU was sort of politicizing it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
um,
sure.
but obviously the next day that it came out on the news and they were like, no,
Yeah,
there is a risk. So I was like, oh,
that's it. Yeah. No,
yeah.
it's great you've had it though, mate. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Have you had the opportunity? You're obviously too young, so I'm assuming you haven't had the opportunity yet, unless.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally, but because I've been doing a bit of like stewarding at the vaccine center, like just checking people in and stuff.
Yeah.
After one of my shifts, they said, "Oh, we got some
Okay. Yeah.
spare jabs." So they did actually give me a jab about a week ago. But
Okay.
yeah, I was a bit worried because they were like, "Yeah, if you're under 30, there is a risk and stuff. So only do it if you feel comfortable." And I was like, okay, I hope for the best. But yeah, luckily, I felt a bit unwell the next day, but on the whole, I felt fine.
Yeah. Same. I think everyone I know who's like in the younger sort of age groups, and obviously everyone on my course are 18, 19. They
Mm.
all sort of the next day, people had, I think, shivering, just not feeling well for a day
Yeah,
after, just too tired. I had the same thing. Like I was in bed for most of the day after.
yeah, no, same. I was really exhausted.
Yeah, exhausted. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
think you've done the right thing by taking it, and touch
yeah.
wood,
I think,
there's not going to
yeah, I
be
think it's sensible to take. Yeah, because the risk is so slim, and also like that's the best way to get out of this, isn't it? If everyone gets the jab, that's going to be really positive.
helpful. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I when we meet up, if you have any questions, I would love to tell you all about what it's been like, first year
Yeah,
at medical school. So
honestly, Chris, I find it so interesting, and I'd really love like, yeah, I mean, especially like now, obviously pubs are open and stuff. Like in a, when you finish your exams in a month or so, if you want to meet up and get a drink or something, I'd absolutely love that, mate. Obviously, I've got your number now and stuff, so it'd be really nice to keep in touch and do that. I'd love that.
that's awesome. Yeah, and that would be perfect for me. I think, yeah, we've got exams coming up in 2 weeks, and then after that, it's a 2 week placement. So that month will be, and that will be been my first placement in hospital. So straight after our exams, we have 2 weeks where we're going to be in hospital trying to help out. I don't know how helpful we'll be as first year students, but
Yeah.
so yeah, so
And which hospital are you going to?
they haven't told us yet, so I'm
Okay,
not sure. The university has 5 sort of local hospitals that they work with, so we know it's one of them. Um,
okay,
but yeah, the ones I think, the Charing Cross, St Mary's, Royal London, and I can't remember the other two, but
okay.
yeah. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, hopefully I'll have something interesting, at least some interesting stories to share with you
Brilliant.
from that
Well,
experience.
honestly, I wish you all the best, Chris, with your kind of with your exams and stuff, and good luck with your YouTube. It's so great. I really love your videos, mate, and
I
really,
hate them, but thank you. Honestly, I hate them. When someone asks you to do YouTube, I advise them, don't watch it because it's going to bore you out. So,
I, well, I have just thought, Chris. I mean, if you want, I'd love to excuse me, take a quick picture because then if you want, I can like share this on my Instagram and stuff. This video once it, and I can promote it a bit. If you're happy with that,
100%, that's awesome. That's a great
I can't.
idea.
I'll probably just take it on my phone. I suppose I'll just take a very quick photo.
Would you like me to make any facial expressions?
um, whatever you'd like, me. Yeah, however you feel.
Okay, you just take it, and
Yeah.
whatever comes out, we'll go with that.
We'll see what happens. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Oh, brilliant, mate.
There you go.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great one. Yeah, but I'll make sure yeah, when it comes out, I'll share it around and stuff. But
Sure. And if you
yeah, really,
send it to me as well, and I'll put up, because I'm going to share it in my. We have a sort of medics parent chat where we have some second year students that help us out. But the chat is huge. There's like 20 like first year students as well. So I'm going to post it in there that we've done this video so they can check it out. So yeah.
oh, brilliant. No, it's great, Chris. Well, really, yeah, thank you. It was a real privilege to do it. So thanks for inviting me, mate. And yeah, really can't wait to see you soon, Chris.
Sounds great. Thank you. I just realized I didn't stop the